everybody, August 24th, 2012 weekly wrap-up. And I just noticed on the forum this little clip on Gibbons and their soprano singing ability, which I think is kind of fun to watch. So I'm going to suggest everybody take a look at that. That's kind of fun. And what that was speaking about is the fact that Gibbons have somehow figured out how to access their soprano voice. And they communicate that way, and that's what the little clip is about. Kind of interesting. And the big thing about that is the fact that up to this point, we've thought that only humans actually can coordinate their vocal cords in the way that now we find out that Gibbons can do. Difference is that Gibbons are not speaking, they're just accessing one aspect of their voice, but they're very good at it, actually better than the normal person who is speaking and talking unless they've had a lot of training. But to tell you the truth, you know, here on the site we're always talking about accessing the different parts of the voice, the chest voice, the mixed voice, and the soprano voice. It's very easy to access the soprano voice if you can get just a good little air pressure trick. Like I've always loved talking about the fact that if you don't put too much air pressure through any part of your range, it's easier to access it. The biggest problem with everybody is they push too hard and they strain, and everybody without any training has this belief that as you sing higher, you have to keep on singing harder and harder, and that's just absolutely the wrong thing to do. So, you know, one of the little tricks we use here is to use a slide with a little vocal fry, with or without the fry. If you take a little fry and go, you're automatically up in your high soprano vocal area. Either way. The ability to access this and press into it a little bit and add a little bit more chord, bring in a little bit more mouth resonator into it, and you'll get a bigger sound. And that's where you start to figure out that it's not falsetto, which is what people confuse quite often. People confuse falsetto with head voice. And light head voice sounds very much like what lots of people think falsetto is. Is not necessarily, or I shouldn't say necessarily, that's not falsetto. I know that sounds really weird, but that kind of sound is what a falsetto is. And the reason why that's falsetto is because the chords are not making a tighter chord compression sound. You hear when I'm doing that, how I'm bringing more resonance into the sound? That turns that into a head voice note. Hey, only speaking about this just because I just saw this little video on the Gibbons. I thank you very much for doing that. Love to see more of that from you guys here on the forum. Find something interesting, go ahead, put it on there. I will respond to it the way I'm responding to this. And it's a fun little clip, so those of you that can, take a look at that. All right, and I do want to point out the fact when I'm saying soprano voice, I'm talking about accessing the head voice right here to get that high soprano sound no matter what your range is, regardless, or voice classification, regardless if you're bass, you know, tenor, alto, soprano, whatever. Is just only one section of the voice, shorten vocal cords, but making a good connection. And when that happens with the compression, we're in our head voice. And for some reason, again, Gibbons are good at that. Anyway, that's just talking about accessing a little bit of head voice. So next time you're out in the wilds, you can communicate with Gibbons, or you can actually glue that onto the other part of your voice and connect from the bottom of your chest voice up to the top of your head voice. That would be a good idea as well. Okay, so what did we do weekly wrap-up this week? Well, we're still working on the listen and recognize, and now we're starting to work with random notes and introduce the chords. We're working on C major, C minor, C sharp major, C sharp minor, and D major and D minor. And you can obviously expect to see all of the rest of the chords introduced that way. Again, keep up with tenacity and keep working on this. It will turn you into a Mozart ear and the ability to respond. After I get through this next section here with the listen and recognize, it's going to be a lot of fun because what's going to happen next? the next step is to get even farther into the chord building after that, and I look forward to bringing you to that point because it sort of opens the doors to everything that's happening, and then we start to talk about how chords move and logically go from one place to another and all kinds of things we haven't covered yet. So anyway, hang in there with it. I'm moving slow, but it covers tons of territory, and we will continue to work on this until we've covered every aspect of chord building and identification. All right, with that said, and a little fun with the Gibbons and the soprano voice access there, male or female, I guess that wraps it up for this week. I'll see you guys next week.